transmission from the resistance.
Welcome to Syndicate, Central Command HQ, Goy Partisan J Company. The intention of these broadcasts moving forward is to bring public awareness to the State of the Union, identify enemies of the citizen base, and to save the Republic. In order to do so, we must be a united front as an all-hands-on-deck endeavor with three basic tenements supporting our direction, and that would be God, country, and family. May God bless you, your family, and the United States of America.
I believe that each and every American citizen is engaged in the American Revolutionary War 2.0. It's my opinion that the United States government is fighting a campaign against the people in various formats. I think it started with COVID. I think the fallout from J6 was their second operation. And currently the most telling ambush that they've waged against us is going to be the invasion of our nation down at the southern border. This YouTube video was posted about a year ago on YouTube, and it was labeled, "What does secure mean to you?" It's an interview between Chris Wallace and the Cabinet Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas. Before we proceed watching this YouTube video, for full context, we need to understand who Alejandro Mayorkas is. He's a Cuban by birth, but he identifies as Jewish. His parents were Jewish. He migrated to America at a very young age. He is the Cabinet Secretary for the Department of Homeland Security, which oversees this entire debacle. Now, if we look at the cabinet members within the Biden administration, we'll go right down the list. Antony Blinken, Secretary of State, Jewish. Wendy Sherman, Deputy Secretary of State, Jewish. Victoria Nuland, Undersecretary of State, Jewish. Janet Yellen, Secretary of the Treasury, Jewish. Merrick Garland, Attorney General, Jewish. Avril Haines, Director of National Intelligence, Jewish. David Cohen, Deputy Director of the CIA, Jewish. Ron Klain, White House Chief of Staff, Jewish. Eric Lander, Director of the Office of Science and Technology Policy, Jewish. And then last but not least, the transvestite Rachel Levin, Assistant Secretary for Health, a Jew. Now let's begin the video.
Three House committees are currently investigating the border as a possible prelude to impeaching you as Secretary of Homeland Security. Here is House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Take a look.
I am calling on the Secretary to resign. He cannot and must not remain in that position. If Secretary Mayorkas does not resign, House Republicans will investigate every order, every action, and every failure will determine whether we can begin impeachment inquiry.
Now, to my knowledge, Kevin McCarthy is not a Jew. He was, however, a milquetoast rhino Republican who was absolutely worthless as far as being a Speaker of the House, and later was vacated from his position for being inept. However, regardless of what our views upon Kevin McCarthy are about his adequacies or inadequacies, his statement is 100% accurate, and Mayorkas most certainly should have been held accountable.
If House Republicans go ahead, you could be the first cabinet secretary to be impeached since 1876. How seriously do you take these calls for your impeachment?
Oh, I take them seriously. It is the leadership of the House that provided those remarks. I don't dismiss it by any measure, but what I do is I focus on my work.
What do you think is the basis for their calling for your impeachment? Do you think you've done anything wrong?
No, I don't. I think it is a disagreement over policy, and I think it is used for political purposes to continue a negative dialogue about a migration challenge that is not unique to the United States, to continue that dialogue, to uplift it for political reasons.
So, Mr. Secretary, have you come to a conclusion if these House committees either request you or subpoena you as part of either the investigation or an impeachment proceeding? Have you decided whether or not you will appear before those committees?
I intend to appear when Congress calls me to do so.
House Republicans say that you have repeatedly lied to Congress when you have said this. Take a look.
The border is closed. The border is secure. The border is secure.
Critics point out in 2020, Donald Trump's final year in office, U.S. border authorities encountered migrants 458,000 times at the border. But under Joe Biden in 2022, there were 2.3 million encounters. How can you say the border is secure?
Right now, the United States has millions of jobs opening due to the economic success of this administration. We have progressed in conquering the pandemic far more than the countries to the south of Mexico.
So let's think about what he just said. He claims that the border is secure. We know that to be false. And now he's trying to attribute the multiplier of 5 over the span of 2 years between 20 to 2022, attributing that influx to the successes of the Biden administration. That is quite remarkable. All right, let's hear what else Mr. Alejandro has to say.
Of Mexico. And that makes the United States an appealing place of destination for people fleeing persecution or otherwise in desperate need of a better life.
But when you say it's, what does secure mean to you? It certainly doesn't mean that people aren't able to get across the border illegally.
Of course not. But by that measure, the border's never been secure, right? Since the Department of Homeland Security was created, individuals have evaded.
So by what measure is it secure now, sir?
So there is not a common definition.
Let's stop right there. There's actually a few common definitions, and they all pretty much convey the context one and the same. The first definition of the dictionary: fixed or fastened so as to not give way, become loose, or be lost. Another one: not subject to threats, certain to remain or continue safe and unharmed. Another one: protect against attack or other criminal activity. Alternative definition: feeling safe, stable, and free from fear or anxiety. There you go, Mr. Mayorkas. That is the true definition. There is one. There are several, and they all pretty much mean the same, which is a contradiction to what's happening at the border. Consider what he just said as his response. He claimed that the border is secure. We know that to be a fallacy. And the reason that I bring up the religious affiliation for these cabinet secretary members is the Jewish community in America only comprises 2% of the U.S. populace. That means the other 98% do not identify as Jewish. Although we have separation of church and state, we are by and large a Christian nation because roughly 70% of Americans identify as Christian. So by that metric, America is a Christian nation. We are not a Jewish nation. However, there is a massive overrepresentation of the Jewish community within many sectors of society: Hollywood, banking, media, and most importantly, in my opinion, the U.S. government.